Anybody who says that we're not in a golden age of performance is lying to you. And they're looking you right in the face while they're lying to you. This is the 2016 Chevrolet Corvette Coupe Z51 Stingray. It's a car with a lot of names because it has a lot of performance. Under the hood is a 6.2-liter V8 that makes 455 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, which on paper doesn't trump a Hellcat or some of the Mustangs that they make, but it's plenty for this car because this car is a sports car, it's not a muscle car. There's a big difference. Chevrolet introduced the 7th generation Corvette a couple years ago. People were shocked. The car looks like it's from the friggin' future, which is amazing. It looks great and it performs great, which is a big improvement over last iterations of the Corvette. This C7 takes its Stingray name from the 1960s when a Stingray race car was built by Chevrolet to compete with European race cars. And that was the last time that Chevrolet really competed with European cars up until now. A comparable 911 cost 20 grand more than this car, and this car can do just about everything a 911 can. So there are a few differences for the 16 that are worth mentioning over the 15. For one, magnetic ride control is available without having the Z51 package. And there are new exterior colors like Corvette Racing Yellow and Long Beach Red, but overall the cars stayed the same since last year. Driving a Corvette is unreal. The engine is set further back on the front wheels to help that achieve a 50-50 weight distribution, which makes the car extremely neutral and extremely balanced. Once you push into a corner, the car's, there we go, see, settles back to natural, to a neutral state almost immediately. So it's ready for the next corner. This one is the manual, but the 8-speed automatic is really, really good, and I wouldn't fault anybody at all for picking up that car. As a matter of fact, I drove it on the track, put it in drive, and I didn't touch the gears at all. It was so much fun to drive. Most of the fun happens on the lower end of the RPM gauge, so you're really not getting a whole lot by wringing the gears out, unless you're really trying to, push it to 10/10ths. And the torque in every gear is incredible. You can actually start one of these things in 4th gear just because it pulls all the way from the bottom. The big lumpy V8 has a lot of low end torque, so it really grabs those gears. The cockpit of the Corvette is really set up to be driver centric. All of the controls are geared or skewed exactly toward the driver. Even the passenger seat has its own climate controls, just so they're not reaching in. There's a nice little bar that says, keep your hands away, I'm trying to drive. Because most people will never track their Corvette or actually care what a limited slip differential even means, there are things inside, creature comforts, that are worth talking about inside the Corvette. 2 8-inch screens provide information and entertainment, and a Bose premium sound system drowns out the considerable road noise from the tires, which are super wide. Really, the Corvette is about being light. It's not necessarily about being quiet. It's a comfortable place to be. The seats are really supportive. So if you could get it to settle down for a long distance cruise, it would be a decent cruiser. There's enough room in the back for plenty of luggage for 2 people for a weekend trip. Although I don't necessarily think you want to take this to Home Depot. Pricing starts at $55,400 and goes up quickly. It's easy to add pricey options, and it's possible to get a Corvette up to 6 figures, but surprisingly, it's not easy to do it. One of the Corvette's little tricks, and something that I'm sure will expand further, is it'll actually shut down 4 of its cylinders to maximize fuel economy. Now, admittedly, the Corvette's not going to be a hyper-miling car. You're probably going to average close to 20 miles a gallon. If you're driving it like you own it, which I hope that you do, mileage will be considerably worse. The Corvette does its best to sip fuel, but by any stretch of the imagination, a 6.2-liter V8 is going to drink it, not sip it. But it does have little tricks. It's hard not to get gushy about this car because it's really, really good. Chevrolet knew that a lot was on the line when they announced the next generation of the Corvette, and they actually delivered. This is a much better driver's car than last generations of Corvettes. Those were always great to look at, but they weren't necessarily the best places to be inside. I'll be the first to admit that I've never really had a big problem with Corvettes. The 5th generation and the 6th generation were a little soft and a little wallowy, but I never thought that those were bad cars. So I should say with a little bit of bias that the next generation Corvette was probably always going to be good. But even this car delivers more than I ever would have expected. I mean, I've driven GTRs, Ferraris, stuff like that, and for way more money you can have a car that's just as good as this. So what is this car supposed to be? Well, it's a cruiser, but it's also a sports car. And it's really America's best sports car. It feels like it feels tight, it feels sharp. It is really wide, and you do know that it is wide when you're driving it, but somehow it just feels really tight to the road, and it feels like it's just ready for everything that you can throw at it. The rear tires never give up grip. The car settles back to neutral so quick, and it's ready for the next corner, and the braking is just awesome. This Corvette is the kind of car that you wish that you had from an era that won't last forever. Its epic speed and unreal grip offset any concerns that you might have about a less than comfortable ride or kind of a noisy cabin. And at $70,000, it's incredible value when you consider it next to its competitors like Porsche 911 and Dodge Viper. But when a car looks like this and goes like hell, it kind of speaks for itself.